Hi everyone, my name is Sébastien Lagree. I am the creator and founder of Lagree Fitness. Today I want to talk about the differences and similarities between the Evo 1 on my right and the Evo 2 on my left. So the Evo 2 just came out. It came out about a month ago. We have a first studio opening up in a couple months in Portland, and I am very excited about this. The Evo 2 is based on the Evo 1, so at the first glance, when you look at the machine, they look very similar. They have both the same front platform, the same carriage, and the same rear platform. So the top is identical, okay? The usable length on the Evo 1 is about 134, 135 inches in length. The usable length on the Evo 2 is the same, 134 to 135 inches in length. Both sits about 16 inches off the ground, and the width is about 29 inches, okay? So remember, I've done a series of videos explaining the megaformer, the evolution of the megaformer. I've talked about the differences between different machines, and overall, what I'm doing now is I'm trying to keep the width of the Evos a little more narrow, because on the M3K Plus, for example, the width is about 34, 35 inches, and it does add up when you have 10 megaformers in a row, you know. So I'm trying to make them a little trimmer without sacrificing any functionality from the machine. So about 29 inches, this is kind of where it's at for these two machines, okay? So as far as the exercise you can do, you're gonna do 99.9% of the same exercise on the Evo 1 and on the Evo 2. Well, actually, maybe not 99.9%. Let's say 95%, because I forgot, there's the right cables, okay? We don't have right cables on the Evo 2. I'm gonna talk about this in a minute. So we're talking about the same size, roughly. The weight drastically different, okay? Here on the Evo 1, we're talking about 225, 250 pounds of weight, okay? On the Evo 2, we're talking about 400 pounds. So this is about 150 pounds heavier. Even though it's the same length, it's the same width, same height, this machine is heavier. Why? Well, here's something you need to pay attention to, okay? This was a design decision. Look, on the Evo 1, we have the third leg in the middle. So when you actually ship the Evo 1, it actually shipped into two pieces. The front, which includes this leg, and then you have the back, which doesn't include this. So when you get the Evo 1, literally you have to attach the platforms on the front and on the back, but you also have to fit the back of the Evo 1 into the front of the Evo 1. So when you ship this machine, this is a lot easier to ship than that machine, because on the Evo 2, look what we did. We removed that leg. So I don't know, some of you might remember my first generation. This is called the Proformer. The Proformer was about the same length as the Evo 2, and it had only legs on the front and on the back. The Proformer was also very heavy to move. The Proformer, matter of fact, the logistics around the Proformer was so insane. This is why when I made the Megaformer, I made it shipped into two pieces, so that literally two people can literally move this machine around and fit it anywhere they want. The Evo 2, not so much. So the shipping on the Evo 2 will be more expensive. And also, as far as location, please do not put the Evo 2 on the second floor of a building. Do not put the Evo 2 where there's no access, okay? You are not going to fit this machine around any tight corner, any tight staircase, narrow corridors. If you have any of that stuff, small elevator, forget about the Evo 2. Please, let's not even bring this into conversation, only the Evo 1. You're going to make your life a living hell if you do not have the right location for the Evo 2. Trust me on that. What's the right location for the Evo 2? It's a street level. You can unload this machine from the truck, you bring them through the wide door and then put them in the studio. That is the best scenario for the Evo 2. The second you have to bring these machines upstairs, downstairs, around a tight corner, forget, you're gonna hate me, it's gonna be bad, it's gonna be terrible. So this is the video right there. Okay? Do not get the Evo 2 if you do not have the location, so that you need a specific location for the Evo 2. Okay? And then the Evo 2 is also built for a different purpose than the Evo 1 as well, you know, and I'm going to talk about this, all right? So remember, shipping is going to be more expensive, and it's going to be more extensive, more involved, you know, with the Evo 2 than it is for the Evo 1. So what has changed? Okay, we've kept the same front platform, we kept the same carriage, and we kept the same rear platform. And you're thinking, why should I bother getting an Evo 2? Absolutely, okay? So what has changed? The biggest change is this. The Evo 1 is built on the M3 frame. This frame over here, that's exactly the same frame that we're using for the M3, M3S, M3K, M3X, and so on, okay? Same frame. Well, I was not really happy with that design because essentially when we made the Evo 1, we were supposed to have a different frame. But in order for me to release this machine in time, I had no choice but to do it on the M3 frame. So the original concept for the Evo 1 was actually the Evo 2. So the Evo 2 is on the monorail system. Why the monorail? Well, the monorail is, so it's a new chassis, right? This is a new frame custom built for the Evo 2. And because, like I said earlier, we removed the leg in the middle, we had to strengthen the beam inside. So this is why this machine is very heavy. There's also electronics, and the electronics weight the machines more. We have actually motors in there, we have actuators, there's a bunch of stuff in there, computers, all that stuff. So this machine is noticeably heavy as well. So we had to strengthen the entire frame from that. But the monorail is the overall direction that I'm going with all the new machines. So when you look at the Micro, the Mini Pro, when you look at the Supra, all monorail. Why a monorail? Well, very simple. The monorail allows you to do more, okay? On the Evo 1, we have basically a two-rail system. This is what you have on all the other machines, out there. Now, the two rails has worked really well for us, but when I designed the Supra, the Supra was this third generation machine when the machine would actually incline and tilt. We realized that this was only going to work with a central beam. So for the Supra, we decided to go on the monorail. So the monorail for us is a lot easier to control. When we make the M4 and then the M5, the Supra and the Ultra, all these machines are going to be on the monorail. Also, so the monorail is easier for us to control when we start to actually move the machine up, down, sideways, and so on. It's also better because the monorail itself becomes an additional platform. So you can actually use this and you can add more exercise. So when you do your fifth lunge or you do the express lunge and so on, you can actually stand on the monorail instead of standing on the rear platform. So it has a lot of functionality that is added because of that. And then of course with the monorail too, you have to understand that that the monorail is going to evolve tremendously. I have a lot of new features I'm going to add. We're going to add some grips, we're going to add more lights to it, displays. So the monorail itself becomes like a great place also to show information about the workout, show you about your range of motion and so on. On this version over here of the Evo 2, we've got those tempo lights. So those tempo lights are those lights that are moving back and forth. I'm going to talk about this in a second, but that is a feature that is possible because of the monorail. On a dual rail system like this, we don't really have any room to put lights or anything else for that matter. You can also cannot stand on those rails. It's very uncomfortable to do that. So now let's talk about the accessories for the Evo 1 versus the Evo 2. The Evo 2 requires less accessories than the Evo 1. Why? Well, this was more of a design decision than a functionality decision. So on the Evo 1 over here, you can put your bungee cord for the bungee kick, okay? People love this exercise, all right? When we came out with the Supra, originally I was not gonna add it on the Supra because the Supra can do so many other things, but we had to add it back because it was just, people just love that bungee so much. On the Evo 2, didn't want to do it. So because you have the Evo 1. So if you really want to have the bungee, you're going to have to buy the Evo 1. I don't want anything kind of dangling on the front of the Evo 2. Look, it's got this beautiful headset. The headlights, beautiful mouth over here. It's got a nice little look. I don't want any kind of thing strapped to hang from it. It kind of cheapens the machines, in my opinion. So it's just strictly a design thing. Also, for me personally, I haven't taught the bungee kick in ages. I do the mega donkey kick, I do other exercises using the machine. I don't think the bungee kick is that important. So if it's important to you, forget about the Evo 2, buy the Evo 1. Well, also, now that we have the rails, so you have the dual rails. So on the Evo 1, you can put an X strap over here in between the two rods. You can use it, you can sit on either end, either the carriage or the rear platform. You can do exercises like side crunches, giant crunch, a lot of oblique work. You can't do this on that rail over here, but you can use this, you can use the monorail to do other exercises. So that's kind of a wash. And same thing, the X-Strap is something I use a lot on the Proformer days. And then I started to evolve the Megaformer from the M3 to the M3K to the M3X. I stopped teaching this because there were so many other exercises that I was able to do and to create using the new features on the later models. So the X-Strap, X'd out. And then finally, we have the red cables. So the red cables, something I don't reuse the red cables anymore. You know, the red cables was something I used on the Proformer days because the Proformer was a bigger reformer, and essentially I was just trying to find or adapt new features on the machine to create new exercises and to keep the method very exciting and new. Well, when we went from the Proformer to the Mega 2, M3, 4, 5, blah, blah, stuff, same thing. We kept adding more features on the machine, and then the red cable became less and less and less exciting. And now I never use the red cables. I probably have not used the red cables in over 3 or 4 years now. So X'd out. So on the Evo 2, no bungee, no X-Strap, no red cable, which is going to save you about almost half of the cost. So over here, if you want to fully accessorize the Evo 1, you're talking about $1,400. On the Evo 2, you're talking about $700. Okay, so it's a big price difference. But the reason I'm doing this again is because I want less things to hang from the machine. So when I do a photo shoot, for example, you probably see me. I only use cables when I use the cables for the actual exercise, but otherwise, when I shoot the machine, I love to shoot the machine and the person without the cables. Things that are hanging are not just sexy to me. So that was the big reason for the accessory change. And also because when I talk about, so I did a video about the Evo 2. The Evo 2 offers so much more now that we have the remote control spring change, and then now we have the tempo light and so on. So the method is simplified, or I would say the exercises are simplified on the Evo 2, but the method is intensified because of this new technology. Now that we see that we have less accessories, you know, on the Evo 2, a lot of you are going to ask, okay, what about the exercises? Well, so all the main exercises, you'll be able to do them on both machines, right? All the wheelbarrow series, all the lunges series, and stuff like that. For those series, actually, you'll be able to do them better on the Evo 2 than the Evo 1. Why? Because you have this right over here, and that is called Lightning. And Lightning basically does this. It changes the springs on the machine. Now, Lightning is also available for the Evo 1. So if one of the reasons you want to get the Evo 2 is because of this remote control spring change called Lightning, you can retrofit it on the Evo 1 and all the other Megaformers. You do not need to buy the Evo 2 in order to benefit from the Lightning spring change. Okay, so I want to make that very clear. I'm launching this technology with the Evo 2 because it was built for the Evo 2, but we can retrofit it for the Evo 1 and for the other machines. So if now you buy the Evo 1 and you have the Lightning spring change, now you have all the functionalities, all the usability of the Megaformer with all the other stuff from the Evo 2. That will make the Evo 1 the ultimate machine if you have that remote control, okay? So we're not going to do the bungee kicks because we don't have the bungee cord on the front end. We're now going to do all your exercise in the middle with side crunch, giant crunch. These are gone. And of course, because you don't have the red cables on the Evo 2, you cannot do your giant shoulder press, giant tricep extension, giant chest, you know, all these other exercises. There's a lot of exercise you could do with the red cables on the back of the platform and also behind the machine because you can use the red cable and do stationary lunge, squats, standing biceps. I mean, there are literally hundreds of movements you can do, okay? But like I said, you know, I've been teaching on the Megaformer. You know, I teach every other weekend or every weekend, and I try new things, and literally all these exercises right here that I mentioned, I haven't taught them in years. So I'm evolving the workout. I'm evolving the workout to Lagree 2.0, simplifying the method. Well, it's both simplifying and adding some sophistication as well. So it's a It's a careful balance, right? So all these exercises are not going to be able to be done on the Evo 2, but on the Evo 2, using the monorail, you're going to be able to do new variation on common exercise. So for example, the fifth lunge or the express lunge. For many people, this exercise is very difficult to do. Now you're going to be able to do it on the Evo 2 very easily because you can step on the monorail. So it's going to become much easier. The monorail might become your like baby step approach to some of the exercises. So there's going to be a lot of functionality to the monorail that again you cannot have with the Evo 1. Okay? So now let's talk about the technology. So I talked about a little bit, I talked about the fact that some of the features of the Evo 2 are compatible with the Evo 1 and some are not. So let's talk about the big one right now is the remote control spring change. The remote control spring change, right? You can have this on the Evo 1 and you can also have it on any version of the Megaformer. The Lightning on the Evo 2 is not retrofittable, at least not right now. I think that at some point in the future, we will release a Megaformer which has the light integrated into it, but that Megaformer will need to have a different frame because I don't know how we're going to fit the lights effectively or efficiently on these rails. So right now, let's say that we're not going to have a lighting kit for the Megaformer or the Evo 1. The ramp is a new accessory. It's been around for a while, but now it's really catching up. If you want to have the ramp at your studio, the ramp is compatible with the Evo 1. It is not compatible with the Evo 2. The Evo 2 is such a big machine that it's going to be too much for that little motor to do that. So no ramp for the Evo 2. However, we're working on an M4. What is the M4? Well, if you would add the ramp to the Evo 1 and you would add the spring, the lightning spring to the Evo 1, you would get an M4. So that's going to be the M4. The M4 is going to be like the Evo 2 with the ramp added to that. So that's the reason why we're not going to make a separate ramp for the Evo 2, because already the M4 will have all the features of the Evo 2 with the ramp integrated into that one. Plus, it's going to have some additional features because, you know me, I always have to add a few more things. So the M4, the M5, the Supra, the Ultra, all of these machines are going to have the ramp integrated into the frame. So no ramp accessory for the Evo 2, but you can put the ramp on the Evo 1. So now if you have an Evo 1 with the ramp and the remote control spring change, boy, you're going to have a lot of fun. You pretty much can do anything and everything you want on this machine. That's a lot of machine. I mean, it's just like, it's a lot of power in your hands, you know, when you teach your classes. And I cannot wait to teach using the combination of the spring change and the ramp. It's going to be just amazing. For the lights, you know, we have more lights, of course, on the Evo 2. We have a ambient light underneath it. You know, we have a tail lights. You know, we have a headlights. None of that stuff is available on the Evo 1. One of the big reasons I wanted the lights is not only I want functionality of the lights, but also it's just a cooler machine with the lights. It's good for Instagram. So which model is better for you, the Evo 1 or the Evo 2? Well, let's talk about the price, right? So price for licensees, we're talking about $9,800 for the licensees. We're talking about $13,000. Those are licensing price. If you're not a licensee, you're going to pay a lot more than that, all right? So we already have now about a $3,000 price difference between the Evo 1 and Evo 2. You're also going to pay more for shipping for the Evo 2 because the Evo 2 ships all at once. And because it ships all in one big block of cheese, you got to make sure that your location works for the Evo 2. And I said that earlier, and I'm saying that again. Make sure the location works for the Evo 2. The Evo 2 is not a machine that's going to go everywhere or fit everywhere. If you're going to open in a basement, if you're going to open on a second floor, do the Evo 1. Don't do the Evo 2. I'm already imagining all the nightmare scenario of trying to get this. First of all, this will not fit in any elevator because imagine to put 400 pounds, you know, vertically. It's not 10 foot long. It's not going to happen. Not even in a commercial elevator. Forget about it. And this machine doesn't really come apart. That's the problem. Okay, that's what we made it. So this is not going to go everywhere. And I want you to be very careful where you're going to put this machine. All right. Evo 1, no problem, because you take the platform apart, you can just break the machine in half. You can put this in any environment you want. That is not an issue. Okay. So think about where the machine is going, shipping, and logistics. Try to make your life easier. If you really want the Evo 2, then you're going to have to make sure that the space works for it. Okay. And there's plenty of spaces out there. Okay. But just make sure that you have that. Exercises, you're not going to be able to do all the same exercises. If you like to do bungee, if you like to do your side crunch, and if you love the red cables when you do express lunge and fifth lunge, then the Evo 1. You're going to be very disappointed with the Evo 2 because the machine represents the new direction, not a new direction, but the future of Lagree. We're integrating design with function and technology. That's the new machine, all right? M4, M5, all these other machines, I'm not sure if they're going to have red cables. So the Evo 1 might be the last one of its generation to have the red cables in that. So the choice of exercise is going to be different. The Evo 2 is really meant to work on the Lagree Essential, but deeper. You're going to have more variations for the elevator lunge, more variations for the express, more variation for the fifth lunge, and so on. More exercises because of the design of the monorail. The wow factor, all right? A lot of people love to have the Megaformer to say that they have the Megaformer, but now a lot of licensees are switching to the Evo because the Megaformer, the look of the Megaformer is being copied right and left, okay? And so for me, it's very important to keep uniqueness and authenticity, in the marketplace. So that's why I've made the Evo 1, and now that's why we have the Evo 2. So a lot of people are interested in those two machines because they want something that looks visually different. Well, if you really want something that's visually different, then the Evo 2, there's no other machines that's going to do what the Evo 2 can do. And that machine, trust me, everyone is going to want to drive to your studio just to take a picture with it. Okay? So the Evo 2 wins, in that department, in the wow factor, in the presence factor. So now you have it. You have the difference and the similarity between the Evo 1 and the Evo 2. If you have any questions about these two wonderful machines, please email us at info@lagreefitness.com. And again, my name is Sébastien Lagree. Thank you for watching.